Hey there guys, my name is Will and welcome to the LDN Studio IG channel. This channel focuses on software development and games design, in particular WPF for software development and game design in general. But in this particular video, I'm going to be sort of demonstrating to you guys local functions within C# version 9.NET 5. Hopefully I didn't get the naming conventions wrong. So let's dive straight into the video. So what we're looking at here is a function called timer, which is actually called upon in my update function, which I have for this game project I'm creating. And what does this timer do? So it has a local function called start clock. And start clock is kind of a initializer code in the sense that I only run it once because I set a precondition testing for false, but then I trip the boolean to true once the start clock fires up, which is this function, this local function here, void start clock. And this is the syntax. This is how the syntax looks like. I have my function private void timer and my local function start clock. So what happens is I then trip the boolean to be set to true over here, which means that this piece of code won't run again. It only kind of effectively initialize once. And then I set this time keep method to be hooked to this event handler, which means that at every tick of the of my clock, time keep, which is this function at the bottom, will then fire at every second. I set the interval to 1 second, as you can see over here. And time keep, all it does in my game is sort of like a Choo Choo Rocket-esque meets Pikmin meets Pac-Man kind of style game. And I won't go into much detail about the game in particular here. I'll make another video for that. However, what happens is it spawns based on a RNG system, the bits that appear on the screen, but it's quite naive in the sense that the bits appear more or less every second, but I did set a little bit of encapsulation to limit the time and the rates at which they appear on the screen, and there can only be, I think, 9 on the screen at one time. So let's get straight into the demonstration of what's actually happening. Okay, so I'm back, and as you saw on the screen, I had these little characters be running around, spawning at random rates, but they actually go in a set particular route, which is the direction they're facing. However, I had to set limits on the boundaries at which they actually traverse the grid. More information about the game itself, but this was just a demonstration to show that the timer, which you might have seen on the right-hand side, your right, which should be this way, hopefully. I think the camera might be flipped. What happens is I printed the terminal window, the elapsed seconds going down, decrementing every second. And that is actually something that is taken care of via the time keep, I believe it is. So yeah, I'm printing here time, and it's decrementing in the time keep. And as you may have noticed, the start clock set all the initialization code at the beginning, so I wasn't reinitializing all the time. So this brings me to the advantages of local functionality. It's quite good to implement local functions as they help with encapsulation, because what you can do, you can isolate a particular piece of functionality within your method, and what that also presents to you is the fact that you don't necessarily have to repeat code all the time. If you want your local function to repeat some repeatable form of code and you're not using a loop, because maybe, let's say for example, you have an update function in an app or a game and you can't really rely on looping faster within, say, a for loop than the update function, which might be set at 60 frames per second, but you still have code that you want to maybe to change slightly depending on certain preconditions. You can just create a local function and then just call the local function itself rather than always copy and pasting the code as and when you need it. So in that sense, it's a little bit of an advantage. It also makes it quite safe as well. And I think having local functions within methods is really cool, and it's quite a nice feature to see in the new version of C# and .NET. So that's all there is for this video. Thanks for watching. Stick around the channel because in the future, not too distant, you're going to be seeing updates on the game itself, updates on my devlog for bit by bit. And stay tuned for more videos on helpful functionalities within WPF C#. Have a great day. Bye bye.